Don't kick dirt on your neighbor's property. Good morning, everybody. Have a story today. The classic two neighbors don't agree. One neighbor decides to kick dirt on the neighbor's property, and then that neighbor ends up going to jail. It's a weird world we live in. And being with your neighbors we need to try to do better. But anyway, let's get to that story right away here. And I always do this, and I always need to do better. So let's look at the headline. Maybe it's doing it on purpose. I don't know. Man disputes trespassing arrest after dust up with the neighbors. And so this fellow here, there's a picture. He gets off his mower and he moves some dirt over. And that ends up getting him in jail. Or arrested. So just going through the article, he said he saw something at the edge of his driveway, patches of grass and dirt that his neighbor shoveled next to the storm drainage. The video shows Johnson getting off his mower and kicking the clippings and clods into the drainage. And he says, all I did was just took my foot and moved the dirt back into this hole on each side of the culvert so the water would drain. And then the neighbor says he's just trying to make the water back up in my yard is what he's trying to do. So then as the guy's kicking the grass around the drainage thing, the neighbor's wife comes out and says, excuse me, what are you doing? What is wrong? And then say, I don't know, what is wrong with you? Oh, you think you can sit here and do this? You're going to do this again? And then Johnson threatened to sue them. Now, what are you going to sue them for? The dirt? The threatening to sue thing is kind of played out. And then the neighbor called the police and then put the guy in handcuffs. Criminal trespassing. And so he says that he wasn't on their property. Then the neighbor said he needs to be arrested to show that he can't do that to people. He can't come and say it like he owns our property also. I don't even understand that sentence. And says the Johnson trespassed after warnings according to the police department, or according to the police report. It's just one of these tit for tat things, and it's just somebody ends up going to jail. And it's a mess. He says it's not honest. He says he wasn't trespassing, and he's got a map to show that he wasn't trespassing. And what was interesting is, this stuff doesn't just it's not just one incident. So you find out that there's been race as part of the dispute. So the neighbor says he was real hostile. He said, we don't deserve to be here, and you N-word and this and that. And then he says he admits to calling Mr. Walker the N-word, which we don't call people the N-word. That's just, And then the Walkers which is the neighbors, wrote a message on a water heater and directed it towards Johnson that read, worry about your own blank as white boy. So clearly these neighbors, for Christmas, they're probably going to get together and have nice ham and just really, really just be thankful for each other. So it says, it was kind of interesting at the end. It says, Shreveport police say they regularly enforce trespassing laws. They say they've made 138 arrests for that charge this year. So that is that. People not getting along with their neighbors. So I have thoughts. I have questions. Kind of want to know what you think. Put it in the comments below. It's not, it doesn't, like, from a legal perspective, as not being a lawyer, I don't understand being charged for trespassing if you're not actually trespassing. This is just me, but I don't understand a lot of things. So, whatever. One thing I do know is we'd better do a better job of getting along with our neighbors. So, does this have to happen? Like, is there any way you can just not provoke the other neighbor? So, if there's dirt that's around the drain, I guess it's going to flood someone's property, and so you want to keep it clean, but then it might be a city problem, or I don't know. But is there some way we can just not deal with, not have to do with this? That would be my first question. And then in this dispute, there's been racist slurs thrown both ways. Like, we shouldn't resort to name calling on racist slurs for everything. Like, I've seen in a number of cases, like the first video I did, we had people slurring Asians or things of this nature. It's just not appropriate. Just don't do it. I don't understand how people get baited into doing this over and over again. Like, you're having a dispute, so you throw out the worst possible thing you can do, at the neighbor, and it just causes more problems. So, in the article, it says that the one fellow says that the neighbor has a bunch of cars that don't run in the yard, and then the other neighbor says, well, the cars run and it's not your problem, it's on my property. And it's kind of fascinating. In the county, I'll just tell you about my house. I had a house. At my house, I had a Buick that had a license plate on the front that wasn't running. It broke, and so I was getting it fixed. Within maybe a week, I had the St. Louis County some department saying they're going to fine me or something. I don't even know why. I didn't do any. I was fixing the car. It was going to be fine. My neighbor across the street, a couple doors down, had an SUV that was wrecked for over 3 years, and it didn't seem like they hadn't said anything about that, and it never moved. So, very selective on the enforcement. I don't know who did that. I never will. But I just didn't think it was right. So on the car thing, I kind of relate. But I don't have 50 cars, and I had no intention of leaving that car there. So that was a little bit frustrating. Now you have a situation where the neighbor has been arrested for trespassing, but he isn't trespassing. It's going to cost time and money, and it's not going to make the neighbor happier. So in this situation, I'm not trying to make light of it, but everybody has their own problems every day. Everybody has their own amount of time. They have their own amount of money. And when you damage that, it's going to make them mad. So now this guy has got to fight in court. He's got to pay money. Who knows? Maybe hire a lawyer. I don't know. But it's not going to help the neighbor situation. You didn't necessarily fix the problem with the neighbor. Okay? You just made it worse. So that leads me to, when does it ever make sense to be in a fight with someone who lives next door to you? Like, you have to see their house, their car, and them almost every day. Like, of all the people that you want to pick a fight with, all the people you want to argue with, you probably shouldn't pick your neighbor as the person to do it, because you're going to have to live there and deal with that. And then finally, is there a better way? Should one person just move? And I say yes. I say, don't move because of your neighbor. Move because there's a better world out there. Don't just sit somewhere and deal with the same tired problems. Is there some reason to stay in the same place and continually be miserable around neighbors you dislike? What's the point? Now, this is, of course, if you have the money, if you have the ability to move, if you're financially unable to move, that's a totally different issue. But I'm fascinated by this concept of, well, I grew up here, so therefore it's mine. I must stay here. And you know what? I saw this in Detroit. People would stay in a neighborhood, and the neighborhood would just collapse around them. And so here you have this little lady, nice little lady staying there, and it's just a disaster. And just move. There's nothing that requires you to stay in one place. And that's one of the things I think as a society we need to do a better job of. And I'm going to try and explain it like this. In St. Louis, if you look at the statistics, and you look at the statistics in Missouri in general, people move out of our state and don't move into our state. Okay. Well, what would be one of the reasons why they would move into our state? Well, it would be jobs. It would be, when we go against Denver, Colorado, when we go against Florida, okay, when our city leaders are looking to bring in business, it's a hard sell. Have you been to Colorado? I mean, it's gorgeous. So that causes issues. The issue is when you get these large employers, people move there. People want to be there. But do you see what the fine point is? They moved for a job. They didn't move for any other reason. It was a completely economic move. So jobs are important. They are a driver of moving. So in this case, why would you stay someplace where everything is terrible? Like, you don't have to move for your job. You can just move, and stop putting up with this garbage. You may have started off with your neighbor, and it may have started off on the wrong foot, and it never got better. Well, just move. And you say, well, I shouldn't have to move. Well, as a real estate broker, I help people buy and sell every day. And I just don't understand. I mean, from a money perspective, fine. But from a quality of life perspective, just move. If something's terrible, just move. If you don't like where you live, move. Don't feel like you're required to stay someplace that's terrible. This is my thought. Maybe you think differently. You're welcome to. I'd love to hear your comments. Meet at DeerwoodRealtySTL.com, 314-274-3964 if you'd like to leave me a voicemail. If you like the content I'm producing, hit the subscribe button. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe. My podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Stitcher, things of this nature. So you can check out the channel Deerwood Realty STL on YouTube. And let's have a discussion. Let's have a community that goes over these things. I'm positive that people, have opinions about stuff. Share them in the comments. Smash the like button. Do something. I'm enjoying this, and I hope some of you are enjoying watching it. So thank you, and I will catch you on the next one.